Meaning to say that here this negative 4 has made our graph to be smaller. Remember, negative 7 is smaller than negative 3, right? Then when our x was 0, our y was negative 4 here, and here it was 0, 0. So we are somewhere here. And once again, 0 is bigger than negative 4. You can see 0 is above this negative 4 here. And then last but not least, when our x was 1, our y was 3, you can see this is where the y is positive 3. Let's investigate when it's negative 4. When our x was 1, our y is negative 1. Meaning to say that we are somewhere where? We are somewhere here. And now, when we draw this graph, you can see for yourself that all the values, they are 4 units downwards. They are 4 units downwards. All the values which we found, they are under the graph of y is equals to 3x. Y is equals to 3x minus 4. So we have explored the fact that either the q can make the graph to go upwards or it can go downwards. That's what's happening. Oh, wait. Here. This is the graph of y is equals to 3x. It's above this graph of y is equals to 3x minus 4. It's downwards, right? And everything has been made to be 4 units, downwards. That's what's happening, right? Okay. Then from there, we are now going to work with what is called the Dual Intercept Method. The Dual Intercept Method. What is the Dual Intercept Method? Let's explore here. Now, if I'm given the instruction that you must find the x-intercept, the first thing that you do is that you let y equal to 0. Why are we saying that? We are saying that because on your graph, if you are having the x-intercept, and we draw this, where's the x-intercept? The x-intercept is here. So you've got your x value here, but where you're having your x value, the y value is not positive, the y value is not negative. That's why anytime they ask for the x-intercept, you'll say let y equal to 0. So we're going to be using the equation of y is equals to 3x minus 4 to determine the x-intercept of this particular graph. So they said let y equal to 0. So here where there is y, I say 0 is equals to 3x minus 4. Now I'm going to transpose this negative 4 because this and that are like terms. When I transpose, it becomes a positive 4. So I've got 4 is equals to 3x. Now I'm looking for x, so I divide by 3 and I divide by 3. 3 into 3 is 1. So therefore I can conclude that x is equals to 4 over 3. This is the x-intercept. Now here's a trick. They can say that find the x, the coordinate of the x-intercept. And once you've found this, this is your answer. But let's say if they had labeled that this is point A here, then they say find the coordinates of the x-intercept. Now I've got a job to say that at point A, I say therefore at point A, my x value is 4 over 3. However, my y value is equals to 0. I've answered the coordinates, right? Coordinate, correct. Coordinates, correct. That's how you answer. So we found the x-intercept. Now let's find the y-intercept. If we're looking for y-intercept, we're saying that your y is somewhere. This is your y-intercept here. It's found on the y-axis. When you found it on the y-axis like that, check your x is equals to 0. So when they say y-intercept, first thing which you tell them is, you tell the examiner, let x equal to 0. And remember which formula am I, which equation am I using? I'm using y is equals to 3x minus 4. And I've told the examiner that I'm going to let x equal to 0. So where there is x here, I will make it 0. So now I write y is equals to 3 multiplied by 0 minus 4. Now I can conclude, therefore, y is equals to, because 3 multiplied by 0 is 0. So 0 minus 4 is what? Negative 4. So if they wanted the y-coordinate of the y-intercept, I found it. But if they labeled it point B here, and they want the coordinates of the y-intercept, coordinates, plural, now I come here and I say, therefore, at point B, my coordinates are, my x is 0, so I write 0, and my y is negative 4, I write negative 4 like that. And just like that, I have determined the x and y intercept. So it's not really much of a trace mesh. That's what happens under the x and y intercept, the dual intercept method. The word dual here, it means two. And what are the two things? The x-intercept and the y-intercept. So all of this we have dealt with. Now we are left with these two only, right? Now they say determine the equation of a straight line and also sketch the graph. Those are the two things which we are left with. So now, as far as determining the equation of a straight line, this is what happens. I prepared a potential questions that they can ask you. So on this particular set of axes, I'm given two different straight lines. So I'm going to start with this one, the one which is in blue, where here at this point I'm told that the coordinates is negative 1 and 3, and here I've got what? 3 and negative 1. So we do not know the equation of this straight line. Our job is to find the equation of this straight line using these 2 points which have been provided. Now, what is the equation? The formula for the equation of a straight line? The formula is what? Y is equals to mx plus c, or y is equals to ax plus q. So this is what we must find. But the first thing that we look for is what? The gradient. There is no way you are going without the gradient. No way you are going without the gradient. On this formula, m is the gradient. On that formula, a is the gradient. So I'm going to look for the gradient. And what do I need to find a gradient? I need 2 points. And I'm provided with 2 points. So now I say the gradient of those 2 points are equal to. Now I'm going to call this y2, this is y1, this is x2, this is x1. So my y2 is negative 1, so I say negative 1, minus, which comes with the formula, here the y1 is 3. All over, my x2 is what? 3, so I say 3, minus, which comes with the formula. Then my x1 is negative 1, so inside the brackets I've got negative 1, which is equal to negative 1, negative 3, if you go to your calculator, it will give you negative 4 all over. Negative times negative gives you a positive, right? And now I've got 3 plus 1. I know that I've got negative 4 over 3 plus 1 is equals to 4. So therefore I can conclude that negative divided by positive, it gives me a negative. So my gradient is equal to negative 4 divided by 4, it is equals to 1. So now I found the first thing, which is what? The gradient. Now, observe, in order for me to determine this equation, I've got 2 formulas which I can use. I can use y is equals to mx, or y is equals to ax plus q. And there is another one. What is the other formula which is being introduced in grade 10? The other formula now says y minus y1 is equal to your gradient, right? M open bracket x minus x1, like this. So what does that mean? I have what? I say y minus. I can take any point here on the what? On the straight line. I can take this point or that point and substitute this y. So I'm choosing this one, my y2. My y at this point is negative 1. So I come here, I open the bracket, I say negative 1 is equal to, m is the gradient. My gradient is negative 1. So I write negative 1, open the bracket, x minus. Now, the x which I'm going to write, it comes from there where I found what? Where I got my y. So my x is 3. So I write 3 here. All right. Now here I come, and what do I say? Negative times negative is a positive. So now I write y plus 1 is equal to. Now I'm going to multiply. This negative multiplied by a positive, it gives me a negative. And 1 times x is equals to x. Negative multiplied by negative, that's a positive. 1 by 3, that's 3. Now I'm going to transpose this because positive 1 is a like term of positive 3. So now I say y is equals to negative x plus 3 minus 1. Therefore, I can conclude y is equals to negative x. 3 minus 1 is equals to 2. So my equation is equals to y is equals to negative x plus 2. That is the equation of this straight line. Y is equal to negative x plus 2. That's method number 1. Method number 2, already I found my gradient to be negative 1. So what do? It's a little bit longer. I don't prefer it, but at times you can be forced to use it in an examination whereby they say that determine the equation of a straight line, right, in the form y is equals to mx plus c. They will write it, so you'll be forced to use this equation. So now what am I going to do? The y is equals to mx plus c in this form. That's what has been demanded by the examiner. So what am I going to do? I'm going to choose any point. So previously, to determine the equation, I used these points, so I'm not going to use them. I'm going to use these ones. So the y value is what? 3. So I write 3 here. I'm substituting my gradient. I know that it's negative 1, so I write negative 1 here. Open the bracket. Where I got the 3, the x coordinate is negative 1. So I write negative 1 here. Plus, I do not know c, the y-intercept. Also on the graph, it's not given the y-intercept. So now the first thing which I'm going to do before determining the equation is that I must define the value of c. So now I rewrite 3 is equals to negative times negative. That's a positive. 1 by 1 is 1 plus c. Now these two are like terms. I transpose. Now I've got 3 minus 1 is equal to c. And then I conclude. Therefore, c is equal to 3 minus 1 is equals to 2. Now, please do not go and celebrate. You just found the value of c. You did not determine the equation. What is the next thing? Whenever they say find the equation of a straight line, they are looking for m and c. Already we know m is the gradient, which is negative 1. And now we found that our c is positive 2. So now we can conclude that, therefore, y is equals to, where there is m, we say negative 1 multiplied by x. And here we've got a positive 2. And this is equals to what? Y. Now negative times this, it's a negative. And then we've got a positive 2. So we've got a negative x and a positive 2. We can conclude that y is equals to negative x plus 2. And it's the same as what we got there. So we have determined the equation of a straight line. So we are done with the blue line. Now, the last part in terms of determining the equation, we are now going to determine using what? This red line. We need to determine the equation of this red line. Now, what are we given? We're given that here it's negative 4, and we're given that there it's positive 2. Another student of mine, during the course of the week, when she was given this, she said, no, our graph is missing. Not everything was given. Please. That was not correct what she said, by the way. Why am I saying that is not correct? Because this is the y-intercept, this is the x-intercept. At the y-intercept, we say that x is equals to 0. So in other words, here we have got an x which is equals to 0 and the y is negative 4. And here we've got x which is equals to positive 2 and the y is equals to 0. And voila, we have got two set of points or two pairs. So what do? First order of business, we need to determine the what? We need to determine the gradient of this. So now we're going to say this is our y2. Now we say gradient is equal to negative 4 minus here our y is 0 all over. Our x2 is 0 minus our x1 is 2, like that. Now we say is equals to negative 4, negative 0. This gives you a negative 4 all over. 0 minus 2, it gives you what? It gives you a negative 2. Now what do you know? A negative divided by a negative, it gives you a what? A positive. So now 4 divided by 2 is equals to 2. this is a positive. Remember, we said that when your m is more than 0, it means that we have got an increasing function. And we said graphically, when you look at it, you can see that this is an increasing function because it's steep going up. All right, now we found the gradient. That's number 1. Number 2, what are we going to do? Now we can take any set and then substitute into the equation. Y minus y1 is equals to m open bracket x minus x1. So y minus, I'm taking this y whereby it's 0, so I write 0 is equal to my gradient. I found 2, so I write 2 open bracket. I write x minus, my x here is 2, so I write it like that. Y minus 0 is y is equals to 2 multiplied by x, that's 2x. Positive times negative, negative. 2 times 2, that's 4. So therefore, we have concluded this is 2x minus 4. But that's method number 1. Let's use method number 2. We already know the what? The gradient. And it says y is equals to mx plus c. So which coordinates did I use? I used these ones. Let me use the other ones. Where there is y, I'm going to place negative 4 is equals to, the gradient is already 2, I calculated, and the x at that point is 0. So here, at first, I calculate for c. So now I've got negative 4 is equals to what? 2 times 0 is what? 0. 0 plus c is equals to c. So therefore, I can conclude that my c is equals to negative 4. But remember, when they're saying determine the equation, what do they want? They want your what? They want your gradient, m, and they want your y-intercept, c. I've got both. So now I can conclude that, therefore, my y is equals to, my gradient is 2. So I say 2 multiplied by what? Multiplied by x. Then my c is equals to negative 4 minus 4. Therefore, y is equals to 2 multiplied by x is 2x. And then here I've got minus 4. This is the equation. Now, last but not least, this is the last part. What do they want? They said sketch the graph. Sketch the graph. Now, when they say sketch the graph, sketch the graph of what? Sketch the graph of a straight line. Sketch the graph of a straight line. When you're going to sketch the graph of a straight line, the first thing that you need to know is you need to know your x and y intercept. So let me do this. When they say sketch the graph, let's do this. Number 1, you must have x and y intercepts. Yeah. Then already, if you know the gradient, so you don't really show the gradient on the straight line. So it's not a lot of things that are required in order for you to sketch the graph of a straight line. Which one are we going to use? We are now going to use the previous equation that we found, which was y is equal to 2x minus 4, right? What is the x-intercept? The x-intercept, where can I calculate? The x-intercept, okay, I will erase the x-intercept. You let y equal to 0. So here, it's 0 is equals to 2x minus 4. I transpose this now. I've got 4 is equals to 2x. I divide by 2. I divide by 2. Therefore, I say x is equals to 2. So x is equals to 2 and y is equals to 0. And then I determine the what? The y-intercept. Y-intercept. I let x equal to 0. So what do? I now say y is equals to 2, open bracket 0 minus 4. Therefore, I conclude y is equals to what? This is 2 times 0 is 0. 0 minus 4 is negative 4. Right? So, what am I going to do? What I do now, I come and I indicate that at my x-intercept, my x is 2. I label it after I've drawn it. And then here my y-intercept is negative 4. So somewhere there. Join these two lines, join those two lines. I do that. I label it to say that this is the graph of y is equals to 2x minus 4. Then I come here for the examiner. I now write that here at this point my x is 2 and my y is 0. I must label it. I must write the coordinates. That's how I label. And here I now write that my x is 0 and my y is negative 4. And so when they ask you to sketch the graph of a straight line, this is what you do, right? I know that the video was a little bit lengthy, right? But everything is absolutely useful, which is found here. So my advice to you would be, on the next video, if it's going to be long as well, watch some few minutes, pause, take some break, come back when your mind has been refreshed, continue to watch, pause, and stuff like that. And then that way you will recall everything. You'll have a good recollection of what I would have taught you in the video. Now at this point in time, I would like to say that if you found this video to be helpful, please do consider to subscribe, share with other people, like and comment. On the next video, I'm going to be talking about what? The parabola. I'm going to be teaching about the parabola. And definitely you don't want to miss that video. From me to you, I would like to say cheers.